My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Nunas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
I'm Sky.
And today, we all watched a new show that's currently airing on Viki, and we've all, I think, really enjoyed it. Yeah. And that's what we're going to talk about. And that show is Search WWW. So, but before we talk about Search WWW, what has everyone been watching lately?
I'm still watching Mother of Mine, obviously. I mean, it takes half a year to watch this drama. And I think I figured out why I haven't been able to go back to Absolute Boyfriend. And it's because I struggle with watching the same actor in two things at once. So the boyfriend or the ex-boyfriend is in Mother of Mine. So I was watching it and was like, that's it. That's why I have not been able to go back to Absolute Boyfriend. So I don't know. I'm a week behind, but shenanigans, because that's what happens in Weekenders. And they've started to kind of redeem the evil mother-in-law, which is nice. Like, they've started to say, hey, she's not actually being selfish. She devoted her entire life to her husband and her children. And now that her kids are adults and her husband is retired, she wants to go golfing and take pottery classes. And is that really a bad thing? And you're they make her seem really horrible at the beginning, but she's got a point. Woman to want to have life. Been good, and her daughter-in-law is seeing her perspective more now, and so that's nice. I started One Spring Night. It's good, it's well made, which I don't think should surprise anybody, because it's the PD from Secret Love Affair and from Pretty Nuna Who Buys Me Food, and which are good, objectively good, well made dramas. It's doing that thing that Pretty Nuna did, where they've got one or two songs that they play over and over. And it's really good songs. But by the second episode, you're oh, something else. Come on.
Stand by your man. Haunting my dreams.
Haunts everybody's dreams.
I don't know. I'm not sure I'm going to keep watching it because, I dropped Secret Love Affair. I dropped Pretty Nuna. I think the PD style is just not my style. Yeah. So it is good. It's an interesting story. The characters are good. But it kind of feels like a winter drama to me as opposed to a drama. It's a little, it's not dark exactly, but the colors are dark.
It's muted.
Everything is dark. It feels like it's slower. I don't know. It just feels more morose. Maybe, and it just feels like something in February you'd be I'll wrap up in a blanket and watch this. But in the summer you're
I want it to be more fun and colorful.
And it's just not. It's cute when they're together. The initial setup is a little because she's got a boyfriend. So is she gonna cheat? So I'm just sort of this feels more complicated. Started Secret Life of My Secretary, whatever.
Oh my god, I'm so addicted to that show. I'm so addicted. It's it's so cliche and so dumb, but I love it so much, and I have no justification as to why. That show is just something about it.
And I really, really enjoyed the first 4 episodes or whatever. I haven't gone back to it at this point. I'm not sure. We'll see. I want to like it. I'm a little concerned that when it gets to I haven't got into the part yet where she's pretending to be somebody else. So I don't know how I'm going to feel about that.
It happens sort of accidentally, shall we say. And then, this is a plot I always like where, not meaning to be, to do something bad. Someone ends up doing something bad, but then just gets in too deep, and they can't and they keep trying to get out, but they keep digging the hole deeper. That's kind of how it feels. So you really empathize with everyone in this situation, because she legit tries to get out of it several times, but just can't.
It took
Okay.
me a few episodes to warm up to the show too. Like, I think 4 or 6 episodes in was when I finally felt like I was driving with the show a bit more. So that's just my
These
opinion.
are like the half episodes, right?
Yeah.
I'm not dropping it. It's a little hard because I've started a bunch of things that I feel sort of meh about. Like, I feel okay about them. They're good. If there wasn't something else that was really, really, really good that I started recently that makes everything in comparison, like you kind of
Yeah.
go, oh, yeah. When
Like, I wish
something's
it could be
really,
this.
really good, it's really good.
Yeah.
And then it makes everything else just, you kind of like, oh, do I want to waste my time on something that I'm not, like, super feeling? Like, I don't know. I also started Theory of Love this week. And
Oh, me too.
I've only watched, like, GMMTV on their YouTube channel, like, splits every episode into 4
yeah.
pieces. So I've only watched the first section of the first episode so far. But I've quite liked it. I've read the translation of the book on Wattpad or something, and I really love the story. I love the book. So I'm looking forward to this one. So far, in the first, like, 15 minutes or whatever, it's very true to the story, true to the characters in the book and stuff. I understand that there is going to be changes and deviations from comments I've heard, but so far, I'm quite enjoying it.
I really enjoyed the first episode too. Well, I watched the first 2 episodes and I enjoyed both of them.
Yeah, it's a good story. So, and it's neat because it's about characters who are in, like, film school. So they do a lot of comparisons to movies, and they bring in, like, movie reviews and stuff. But all the movies that they're talking about are related to the plots that are going in their lives. So it's kind of neat that way, and I like it. So that's basically been my week. What have you been watching, Jessie?
I am still trying to catch up on some things just because there was that, like, 2 weeks in between coming here, which is not my house, and packing, and just I'm behind, but I've been, like, slowly catching up on things. I'm still watching Mother of Mine as well. I'm still watching Absolute Boyfriend, the K-drama. I haven't been able to pick up the J-drama, but that's definitely only pushed to on hold. It's not a drop. It's just until I get the time, it's going to be there. I'm still watching Abyss. I still like it. But also, if you don't like it at this point, stop watching and stop complaining about it. Like, that's
Right?
what's driving me insane about watching this show is that, like, you already know you don't like it, so you can't keep complaining that you're forcing yourself to watch something you don't like.
Yeah.
It's not fair to anyone. It's not fair to, like, me who's, like, enjoying the show. I don't want to hear it. It's not fair to anybody who might want to give it a chance, because just because you don't like it doesn't mean the world doesn't like it. It's just all around crappy thing. So stop it, please. That's great. I'm watching the show that, we're going to talk about. I also, because I'm watching a lot of Chansung stuff this month, just because I figured that I would make it a month, because he's gone in the military now. I restarted, because I technically started it a while ago when I was cat sitting at a friend's house, My Horrible Boss. So I'm a couple episodes into that. I'm enjoying it, but it's like a office drama, and that's something I like. I also started, and I haven't watched the second episode because I didn't realize we were already at that time in the week that there's a second episode, but I started the Taiwanese drama Before We Get Married. And I really like it, really like it, and I don't know how to feel in my heart that I like it. It's not because it's, like, bad, poorly done. It is really well done. Like, it's top-notch acting from everybody involved. The storyline is, like, written well. They're doing a lot of great things with cinematography and, like, using, like, things around the world to portray what, like, the emotion of the character is. I think they're doing a really great job in that. It's just that it's a little rapey, and in my heart, I don't want to be a part of that, but also I don't know if it's just because it's the first episode and the only things I've seen is the previews, that it looks more intense than it is.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, if I mean, to step back, almost the entirety of all Asian dramas have the girl changes the bad guy. He's just that very,
Yeah.
bad guyness. I don't know.
That's such a classic plot.
So I'm not gonna like say I don't like it. Like I'm not gonna lie to you that I didn't watch that that
You're
entire.
like, I'm putting my morals
episode and go,
behind
wow.
me for a minute because I'm really enjoying it.
It was shocking it was in the first episode.
It was, I mean, it's not like it was a tonal jump, but like you weren't expecting it.
Yeah.
Like, especially because I didn't go into the show knowing what it was about. I just knew that Jasper was in it. But, like, I do that for a lot of dramas, so it doesn't, like, really matter. And I like a bunch of different things, so I don't need to, read the synopsis before watching it. But it was, like, the last 15-ish minutes. I was like, oh wow, we're here. What is happening?
Oh no.
I think it's because usually with Taiwanese dramas and other Asian dramas, we usually get like a couple of episodes of warming up with the characters or something. Yeah. And it definitely there wasn't much warming going on. Just a little bit like, oh, we're in this now. Gotcha.
That's like a poorly done. Like if you think about it, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. It's just when you're not expecting and you're caught off guard and you're like, okay, this is how this show is going. And then I still was like, I still really like this show. So
you feel a little dirty, but at the same time you're like, I can't, sometimes you just like stuff.
I like Jasper as a person, and he seems like a really great guy. And he's been so heavily promoting it and also done interviews where he's been talking about how he's like gracious that someone picked up the show. Like he felt it was a story that needed to be told. So like there's got to be something that I'm missing, and like
something in there. Something's coming. Something's gonna make it okay.
But I'll keep watching it. Let's be honest. Also, I started another show. It's like a perfect show for me because it has a really great found family. You know me, I love found families. Yep. It also does this thing. It's like the pinnacle of what I really love. When you have characters like a male or female traditionally who are attracted to the opposite sex, but they're best friends and they stay best friends. Like they don't try to make them a relationship. It's just, I love that so much. And so I enjoy shows that have that. So yeah, with the found family and everything. And like it's got some really good female relationships. So I've been watching that show a lot. That show is Criminal Minds. It's a really great show. I don't have any time for dramas, so I've been watching English shows that I can have in the background. And Criminal Minds will always have my heart.
Hey, Criminal Minds is enjoyable, so no judgments. I too have watched some non-Asian stuff recently. I just finished watching Good Omens on Amazon Prime, and oh my god, it was so good. Like, Good Omens is one of my favorite books, and like,
the only bad part is it was too short.
Yeah, like it should, but it didn't need to be any longer. Like, it did what it did, and it was just perfect, and everything was just amazing. And if you have Amazon Prime, you should watch it because it's really good. And also on Amazon Prime, I rediscovered a show I was obsessed with in college. It's a Canadian show called Regenesis.
I love Regenesis! Oh my god!
I knew there was more than just me who loves Regenesis out there.
Oh no!
It's basically a show about a bunch of scientists who have to solve disease outbreaks and stuff, but their lives are super messy. It's just a classic. It's really good. It's so Canadian. So Canadian. From everything about it is just takes place in Toronto.
Like medical procedural crime dramas.
You love
Regenesis. The pinnacle. It's the
best one I've ever seen. It's so good. And it's pretty fast paced, so it doesn't drag you through things. They're yeah, okay, now we're done with that. On to Spanish flu. It's really good. But in the realm of Asian stuff, so I'm finishing History 3 Trap, which is done this week. So I know, shed a tear for the fallen. That show is so good, guys. The thing about it is, I don't know if it's actually objectively good, but my heart says it's good. So I'm just going to say it's good, it has problems, but I think a lot of the problems that it has was due, because, so the tea on this show was that it's put out by Line TV, and so the director would send, 45-minute episodes, and then Line TV would, edit them down to 20 minutes. So what are they cutting out? We don't know. Like, so it seems like, so the editing is a little jumpy and things just sort of jump around. Especially I noticed this more in the second half than the first half, but regardless, it's a very satisfying show. I'm also watching Theory of Love, as I said before, and Secret Life of My Secretary, which I don't know. I have no reason why I like it. I'm going to be honest. Like, it's
He's
so
cute. They are cute.
So cliche. It's like they created like a drama writing machine, like one of those AIs, and just fed it like the last 10 years of dramas, and then it just spit out a show that like averaged all those dramas together. But I love it so much. Like, I don't know. What else am I watching? I'm still watching Arthdal. I haven't caught up yet because I was too busy watching Good Omens and Regenesis. That's what I'm up to.
I've been watching a lot of stuff. I'm going to start with the non-Asian things. I did watch Good Omens. I watched Always Be My Maybe, which...
I did too.
That was fun.
Yes, I need to.
Everyone should watch it.
Definitely.
I'm trying to get my husband to watch it. He probably eventually will. I also grabbed Isn't It Romantic? It has Rebel Wilson in it, and it was hilarious. It's a great take on rom-com tropes and the character being really crabby about him and stuff, and her life pretty much changes into a rom-com film, and she's not okay with it. So it's pretty good. So those are my non-Asian things. One, I'm just going to have a quick aside. I did watch Perfume. I watched the first bits of it last week. It had lots of issues. I don't really want to get into all that. So if you are thinking of watching it, it's up to you. But I wouldn't recommend it. I honestly don't warn people off of dramas very often, and I would say skip that one. But
I think other than you, I've seen at least 2, maybe 3 other podcasts that have had blogs or podcast episodes about the nightmare that is Perfume. So,
yeah, so there's content out there.
You are alone in this.
If you want deep dives and stuff, there's definitely content out there I've seen. So go check
and
out.
Just be wary of it. Like, if you're a person who's sensitive against some things, that you probably shouldn't. Might not be good for you mentally.
And I'm not blaming the actors. I'm blaming whoever greenlighted the script or whatever. Like, not cool. It's just some things you just shouldn't screw with that much. It's bad. Anyway, Arthdal Chronicles, I caught up with that last night. It's pretty much what you'd expect. So, yeah, I don't have much to say about it. I also watched Before We Get Married, but we already talked about that with Jessie. My Absolute Boyfriend, I need to watch this week's, I think. Is it out yet? Probably not out.
No, it won't be out until later today. Yeah.
I'm caught up then. I'm caught up with that.
Woohoo!
So Absolute Boyfriend, I also did snag another episode of the Japanese one. So I'm slowly working on that one when I'm in a mood. It's fun. So far I really like it. I'm sure there's some random turn later that I'll be shocked with or something, but
yeah,
so far I really like it.
I'm up to like episode 6 of the Japanese Absolute Boyfriend.
Yeah, I think you're a little further than me. I picked up a Chinese drama, I think, Destiny's Love.
Oh, that's on my list. Is it good?
Fantasy, funny, really funny in my opinion. I think they're short episodes, unless I haven't watched it this week, so it's kind of hard to remember. The main lead, he's kind of goobery, so it's a good time, and 2 second lead shenanigans and all types of love quadrangles, and I don't really know what's going on, but it's fun. Lots of reincarnation, supernatural stuff going on. Secret Life of My Secretary, we already talked about that. Joseon Survival. I think I'm the only one that's watched that so far. Oh, I did.
I'm gonna start it tonight, but I haven't watched it yet.
I want to watch that one.
I enjoyed it. It's about what I thought it was going to be. In my opinion, the first 2 episodes aren't necessarily like charming. It's not like, oh, I really love these characters, because they kind of, it's the backstory of what made their life not great type thing. So you see their struggles, and then you kind of see how they are dissatisfied with life a little bit. And then as far as the fantasy aspect, really bad CGI, and that's just the way it is, just accept it for what it is. It's just kind of the chaos of everything and backstory. So we don't get too far with knowing plot-wise really what's going on. I liked it. I will continue it. I think it's going to get better next week and the week after. Like, I think you have to just kind of build up. To me, that's the way fantasy shows usually feel. I'm usually not. Usually the first couple or 4 episodes of a fantasy show, I'm often not in love with it yet. I'm usually okay with it. And then I get charmed later on. But I like the actors and stuff, so I thought they did a pretty good job. Once in a while, I also watch a little bit of Welcome to Waikiki too, but just I feel in the mood for slapsticky stuff again, so you have to have your slapstick stuff on the side.
Speaking of stuff on the side, this is a side hustle for all of us, and if you would like to support us in our endeavors, we do have a coffee that you can submit to. You can, support us at coffee.com/certified Nunas. We've got we're going to be putting up behind the scenes stuff, like extra recordings. We got some fun stuff on the go. So, just thought I'd slide that in there as our, this is all self-funded.
Yeah, Smith.
Yeah, if you, if you don't have the funds to support us, don't worry, keep listening, and maybe share our podcast with someone you think would enjoy it. So, to the topic at hand. We all watched the first 2 episodes of Search WWW, which is on Viki. And so if you're on Viki, you can watch it too. I don't want to speak for everyone, but it's hella good. It's so good.
So good.
The first 2 episodes were so satisfyingly good.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what it made me think of was when, because This Is My First Life started, it felt like everybody on the internet was talking about how good this is. Yeah. Like, everybody who watched those first couple episodes was like, yes, I love these people, I love these situations, all good. Everything's good. And I feel like that was it.
I just found it to be such a well-balanced introduction to what we're about to witness. And you know what else I like about it? Adults doing
adult
things
stuff.
like adults. Adults being adults. Also, I must admit, in the reveal when she drags the dude at the hearing with his secret life he was trying to keep hidden, I actually was like, whoa, 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 and my husband was like, I literally was like, nah! My husband was like, what? I'm like, this show is wild! This show is wild! I was down to clown with this show, so good. Like, the 2 female leads are, they're just so good.
I really like that the characters they allow them to be what they are in their roles at, work. Like, you never once doubt their ability at work or that they work in that position. And it's not like they're just there and you're like, oh, it's just this facade of them working. They're actually working. And they show that, too, in the show.
It's like when I'm watching a show and then I see, this actress who's apparently, high-level CEO or whatever, going to work in, those suits that are shorts, and I'm like, no.
They allow them to be, rough, and you get to see their, I don't want to say bad side, but the negative side. Idahi's character, where she's, shows up to work pretty, reserved, but she still goes to her, room where she can bash things, and she is also doing her whatever or whatever.
And then, she's just doing beast mode at jujitsu.
Nobody's perfect, or they're just, but they're not horrifying either. You're not the devil. It's not. Everybody has a good side too. There's even the bad characters are there's something that. They're not even bad characters, really. There's just something sort of likable about, even the horrible, evil mother-in-law she's good at what she does. She's good at it.
There is one character who doesn't seem to have a bad side yet, who seems to be the perfect man. Who's it's if you just put down everything you'd ever want in a mate, and he's just here you go, handing it to you on a platter, too nice. He's too nice. So
good.
Every line he says to her just makes me sort of smile, because it's just so when he's we didn't have sex, and she's yes we did. He's oh, so you remember.
Little. The greatest line of all time. And she's how old are you? And he says, not a minor.
Oh. Damn, son. Yeesh. Puts his number in her phone, and she's you didn't hit call, and he's well, that's your choice. Oh, yes.
When They meet at the arcade, and she's like, why didn't you let me win? He's like, because then we wouldn't be talking right now. You're only going to look at a guy who could beat you. I can tell that's who you are. And he's not wrong. Like, she's good at what she does, and she's used to being the best. So to get her attention,
you have to be the best.
Also be the best. Like,
I also really like her friend who works at the cafe, who can't get a better job because she has no social skills. It's not because, like, she's not capable of the job. It's just she can't get through interviews. And I just love her. And I just love how when they leave the original company and the guy's like, is it just us? And she's like, no, we have to go get the smartest person who works at this company. And it's like the barista at the cafe downstairs. And he's like, what?
Like, she has all the secrets.
Yeah, she
People
knows.
were like talking around her. She knows everything that's going on in that company.
But like, I sort of empathize with that because I too cannot pass interviews at all. So I'm like, I get you. I get you as a character.
I also appreciate how the main lead female roles are within their job. It's not this constant, oh, you're a female who's in a powerful job. It's just, it's not as if they're making this big, really weirdly done feminist statement. It's just that the leads happen to be women. And yes, they're powerful, and yes, we appreciate that. But it's not that the conversation is always, you're a woman and you're good. No, it's, you're good. Like, that's it. Not that their gender never comes into play. It, of course, does some. But it's not as if all of their superiors or the people under them, it's not this constant sexism thing.
They did subvert, like, sexist tropes every once in a while, like where she's getting ready to go to the hearing, and she's like, I need lipstick that'll, like...
that makes me look powerful.
That makes me look like I'm about to kick ass. Yes.
Even when people then, there was a man colleague that then talked about the lipstick later, it wasn't this snide comment. It wasn't this,
you chose
you definitely kicked ass.
I saw your play, so I'm acknowledging it.
You took your armor that you wanted and you did what you wanted to do, and good for you. And it's, so I feel, I like all that. It's not, oh, you're a woman and here's your weird little applause that's going to feel really pandering to you. Like, there's none of that.
No, it's just their job and they're good at it, and that's that.
Yeah.
And it's like, what I liked was sort of how you could tell that both of them, like, had started working at these companies before they became, like, big companies, right? So there's, like, a sense of that they belong there, like, that they helped build it. And then that makes, the betrayal towards the woman all the worse,
Yeah.
The main character.
Because she's also losing that relationship. Like, even if they weren't best friends, it's almost like she's losing a sister in a way. And she knows that what she did was terrible, but she also has, the outside family influence that's, helping her along. Also, she's trying to, preserve herself and look out for herself. So that's, like, really kind of a neat side, like, relationship, just to see that it's not like they were super best friends. They were just, they had a relationship.
I like too with that superior colleague and her marriage of convenience or whatever is going on there. Your first introduction to her husband is basically that he's cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, jerk. But, like, every time you see him, he doesn't actually seem to be that bad of a guy. He seems to be worried about her at times. He's concerned about the control his mother has in her life. He feels bad. Like, when she comes and confronts him in the hostess bar, he's not embarrassed that he's there, but he seems to feel bad that this is what their relationship is. That he has some sense that this isn't what a marriage should be, and I wish it could be different. Seems to be kind of the character he has.
It also, I feel like it's one of those things where they know that they have drifted apart and they should not be together, but because of Korea's society, she's going to look really poorly if she breaks up with this teen. And it's almost like he is highly aware of that, and he's highly aware of the family, and is at least trying to be sympathetic to that, and also, like, trying to make it not something that will inevitably hurt her more than it ever will him.
It was also obvious that he didn't meddle in her business stuff. Like, he doesn't have a hand in any of it or know all that much, the stuff that she, on a ground level, the stuff that she's dealing with, as far as he's kind of the pass-through for stuff to his mom. And it was obvious that he kind of keeps his mitts off of most of it, which I think in a lot of other dramas it would be, he's a villain character too, as far as, being in charge of her or whatever. No, it doesn't seem to be his role.
It would be easy for a drama to make him the villain, because that's so common. And it just feels like he's just not. He's just living his own life kind of thing.
No, the villain is the nice photographer from 12 Nights.
I know. I love her, but like, she's horrible at this.
But not acting. She's her character is just
her character,
horrible.
Especially when you're like basing it off of like 12 Nights. There's some of the other things that like I've seen her clips and she's just like, I'm nice, and then this one she's like, I'm the worst person ever.
And yet she's so good at it. Like she's so good.
I like a good villain. Like quite bad.
Yeah. I mean, like the way she's, again, it's one of those gender role subversion kind of things. Like, she is in control. She is like, she's controlling senators and like getting, she is the puppet master behind the curtain kind of thing. And it's not a role you often see a female in.
Yeah.
As terrible as she is, I kind of like her anyway.
Exactly.
Like after she like gives that bribe to the two guys and she's like, I can't believe I have to deal with those like lecherous bastards.
Because she knows what she has to do. She knows that this is how she has to play this game. So that's what she's gonna do, and she's gonna look out for herself. And if someone else is not doing something and like she feels that it needs to be taken care of, she's gonna do it. And then she's also going to let that other person know how terrible they are and, like, make them know that she is powerful and she knows what she's doing. And her concern is herself. It's a fun character, even being terrible.
Like, there's something just so enjoyable about a good villain, Like, you're just like, yes, show me your villainy.
I also think the overall topic of their workplace and stuff is fascinating because I've thought about a lot of search engine stuff before and how, all the cookies and the way stuff gets catered to us, like all the ads all of a sudden are things you've already looked at, and how even your search stuff that you get back is very catered to you. And how that is actually sometimes not a very good thing, like if you really think about that.
And we were just talking about that with Twitter, like how the algorithm just is weird.
It's not a good algorithm. It doesn't send targeted ads whatsoever.
Or targeted people to you.
I just don't even understand it half the time. I'm like, you can do better, Twitter. Like, this is like, if you want to, if they want to sell me something, they can definitely do better. But I really liked basically how it was saying, search engines know everything about you, and with like a rudimentary knowledge, you can find out anyone's secrets, and that's like.
A very powerful thing.
Look how she tracks down all that guy's all his separate accounts.
All his different accounts and connects them all to each other, and then it's like, I see what you do, sir.
Oh, you're a pedophile. Oh, okay. Got it. Oh my gosh. So good. It's just so good. And like the acting is on point from like everyone in the show.
The Bae Ta-mi character, when she obviously gets put in a corner and she's pretty much going to be the sacrificial lamb and she knows it, though it's a good move that she reveals what that guy did, it's very fascinating to watch that though she was in like a checkmate type of position, she still sidestepped it. And that is brilliant.
She came prepared for any.
She knows how to play the game.
Yeah.
Well, and when even when she got in trouble with her boss, and she's just like, I'm the only one who can take care of me. Like, the company obviously doesn't care about me, even though I've given my entire life to the company.
Yeah.
I have to take care of me. And it's like, yes, like it's so great to, and the fact that she had the capability to try to protect herself. Whereas a lot of traumas, they'll set that up and then they'll make the main lead girl fumble, like, so
Yeah.
then the hero can swipe in and help her, all this stuff. No,
She's
she
gonna
is
do it
capable and she took care of herself, and that was awesome.
And technically, the hero who saves her is the other woman when she just gets into her car and is like, please drive.
She's like, maybe you shouldn't be getting into, like, your competitor's car. She's like, that's the least of my worries right now. Let's go.
Like, I got so much going on. I don't care about this right now.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see them. That's the two characters that I just want to see more screen time on, and I'm like excited about the coming episodes to see that, because I think they're just gonna have such a great dynamic, like, relationship, and it's gonna be fun to see it unfold.
Clearly about the women. Everything in this is about the women, and the guys are fully, like, they're fully fleshed out characters. They're not like cardboard cutouts off to the side or anything, but that's not what it's about. This isn't about romance. This isn't about the guy character. This is about those women and the roles they serve in their companies, and it's nice.
Yeah.
And it's a TVN drama, but it really doesn't feel like a TVN drama. Like, it feels more like a JTBC drama, to be honest. Like, you know,
It does. Yeah.
Like more just realistic.
You know, like what we were saying about summer versus winter or something. Like, it still feels light enough for summer. Even though it's serious and, you know, but it still has that more vibrant summertime feel.
The color schemes they picked for stuff, and then their camera movements on some things, and the way they frame shots is really cool. Like, I'm not even good at picking up on a lot of that stuff unless it's obvious, but to me it's very obvious. It's like, this is pretty, and then they do, like, really creative things just for a moment. And it's not that it distracts from anything, it adds to it. And it's like, oh, I appreciated that few seconds of that very interesting framing shot. And I like, that's not even my realm, but it's really cool.
Like that, they keep doing flashbacks to the sort of first date, quotation mark, you know, dinner and drinks kind of thing between Tommy and, I can't remember what his name is, but Jang Kyung's character.
English name.
He has an English name, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Park Morgan or something, right?
Yeah, more.
It's like it's like a German name, I think. I think he's like from Germany or was in Germany.
No.
I don't know.
But yeah, like that dinner date thing has its own lighting scheme, its own filters, its own. So as soon as, like, they don't, you know, do like a Scooby-Doo thing or anything, but immediately know I'm watching the flashback. I'm watching her remember the conversation that they had, because, and I hope they continue that. I hope, like, through like all 16 episodes, she keeps flashing back to, like, that night that they clearly sat and chatted for a long time before they hit the sack.
And hit the sack they did.
There's plenty of conversations that we can flash back to, which I like. It's a neat device that they're using in the storytelling.
Well, I also appreciate that it's not as if their conversations were just about him seducing her or whatever is often the topic of a date. Usually it's like, what's your, you know, the very mechanical date formula. It wasn't even that. It was like work stuff. I mean, there was deep conversation, and that's often not shown with characters so early on, so that's pretty cool.
It's kind of nice because in a story where the romance starts with a one night stand, it's usually like super awkward or it's weird, or, you know, it's nice that they have this to show us that, like, yes, it was a one night stand, but, like, these two people actually connected with each other. It was like more of a spiritual connection than just hey, you're hot, let's hop in.
Yeah, just her face when she hears the music again, and she's like, wait a second, why do I know this? Why do I know this music? She's like, like her brain, you can see, like, the brain trying to connect, like, oh god, so something about this.
And he turns around and looks at her, and
she's like, oh no!
For a moment, I thought she was, like, daydreaming, like, as far as I thought she was finally figuring out the song thing, and that she was, like, imagining him, and I was like, oh shoot, no, he's really there. She's gonna freak out.
She tries to freak out. It's so funny because, like, when she wakes up after the one night stand, she doesn't really try to sneak out. She tries to not wake him up, but she's not really sneaking out. Like, when she leaves the hotel room, she just walks. There's people around. She's like, whatever. Yep.
It's just more like,
you
know what? I'm not young again. Like, shouldn't be doing this.
Like, dang. Now she's trying to sneak out. She's like, I remembered I have somewhere I need to be. Bye.
And then she like runs into him and leaves the lipstick print on his shirt. Oh my god. So good.
So good.
I want more interactions with him and his little like minions back at the office, where they're just clearly he's the dad to this group of absolute children.
Yeah.
I'm interested in her relationship with the pianist, the girl. I think that's a really interesting relationship.
That was so cute, where she wants to play the song from Produce 101, and she's like, I missed out on all these things by having a job.
Well, and she was mourning that her favorite from Produce 101 didn't get picked, and this is all I can do for him is learn his song.
It's like, it's because I didn't vote enough, isn't it?
It's like,
it's all your fault.
The pianist is like, you're obviously going through some shit right now, so I'm just gonna like keep going with this. It'll be fine.
Also, it was a well done shortcut when those two people met. It showed Beitami's intelligence very well, but not in a heavy-handed way. It's just, it was obvious that she's very, very sharp, that she can figure out. It wasn't just like, oh, accent. It was, oh, your pattern of speech, and like the questions you're asking and whatever is totally different than a native Korean person.
And it was such a natural like start of a relationship, especially like older. When you're older, it's like harder to find these relationships, and they both like talk about that, and especially with her having come, back from being overseas, I think it's like a really interesting, it almost became its own like date in a way. Like, it was very much like she was like, hey, come to my table, we'll share this food, and then start this relationship with people that know nothing about each other and are continuing to see each other.
Love it.
Yeah, it's so good, guys. Like, if you were like, oh, should I watch it? Just watch it.
Yeah.
Like, the four of us all have very different like drama preferences, and the fact that all four of us are like yes, like 9 thumbs up, like that should really tell you all you need to know about if you might like this drama. Probably, unless you're like you're a huge misogynist, but in that case, like,
you're not listening to us.
You're not listening to us, and you ain't watching Korean dramas, so
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, even on like Twitter and stuff, I have yet to see somebody say, I don't know, I started it and I don't know what the big deal is. Like, no. Everybody's like, what is this? It's so good. Like,
and you know what? And she even had a moment with like her underling who she takes with her, where she's like, well, I didn't want to presume if you were gay or straight or whatever, like, so she's like modern. It's like modern and hip. It's great. Very progressive show.
And I have no clue where the show's going. As far as, I feel like, probably the main conflict we probably haven't even started on.
No.
And so
it's such a precursor.
Yeah.
To what
I mean, the previews, they showed like the old boss colleague asking her to like, buy, like, really? You guys betrayed her and fired her, and now you're saying like, hey, since you have so much company loyalty, don't you want to? And I was like, really?
I feel like anyone in that situation would be like, haha, how about you go screw yourself?
Right.
You can just,
they have made her to be. She is a very, like, she burned her bridges. She was like, okay, you don't want me? Bye. I'm out. I mean, she had her very
message board.
Tom Cruise, Jerry Maguire moment where she like sends out her big memo to the whole business, and she's like, here's what the company used to be built on. Bye.
Let now
did
it's
everything
built
right.
on lies.
Y'all will know I was fired because this company is trash, not because I'm not a good employee.
And
You
she
do the
technically
right
wasn't
thing.
fired. She resigned, but they said that she
Quit,
fired.
but she wouldn't let her
But
quit.
she wouldn't let. They showed again that she wasn't accepting the resignation, so she's fired technically.
It's like, you're fired. Well, you can't fire me because I quit. Well, we weren't accepting that you quit, so technically you're fired. Like, shut up.
There is definitely a difference in Korean business because resignations always do that, like where it has to go through approvals, as and it's not the way here. But I don't know what that is.
They're like in that hearing, like they're, or not hearing, but whatever board meeting or whatever, where she's getting fired. And they're telling her she's fired and everything. She's like, oh, I thought this might happen. So bam, here's my resignation. She looks at her former friend and says, please process this for me.
I love that she picked her.
Walk out, like, sit down, we're not done. She's like, I don't work here anymore.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, we are. See ya.
Who said you fired me? So what do you want me to do?
Like, I'm out. Peace, homie.
How do you guys feel about, in Asian dramas in general, and then this one specifically, when you see slapping in the workplace?
Oh, I hate it.
I hate it.
I hate it.
Do you think it
must happen?
Is it actually a part of their workplace culture that occurs?
I honestly wouldn't doubt if it actually occurs. I feel like it would, like, us being like, oh, that wouldn't happen without, like, person being like, I'm gonna sue you now, so this is an easy out for this, like, situation. But I don't think it's that way in, like, Korean business. I think that does happen.
It happens way too often in dramas for it not to be based in some sort of, I don't know. We've got bosses beating employees with golf clubs and stuff. And like that's an oddly specific one that shows up a lot. Kids and employees getting beat with golf clubs. Mm-hmm. And I'm like,
and it's also just not on one genre too.
Right. Yeah, if it was just the really dark shows, that would be one thing. But when
or
it
like
shows
a really
up,
hyped up thing, you're like, okay, well, everything's heightened in this. But when it like can even be like the smallest like little blimp, that's when I'm like,
like when it shows up in My First Love, it's like, okay, that's probably kind of a thing then sometimes, because the dad went after him with the golf club.
My thing is, it must be a problem because, like, especially the way that, like, corporations are set up and, like, sort of the deference towards your superiors and sort of thing that goes on. So I feel like that's probably, and then you see your stories, like, this is not in Korea, but, like, you know, stories from, like, China where they make all the female employees, like, hug the boss before they get to work. Like, just stuff like that. You're like, oh, this is gross. Yeah, this is a thing.
But how great was it that Ida Key's character, like, immediately grabbed her hand to stop her from slapping her? Like, already, this is so great.
It was like,
I don't know, like this girl, but you are not hitting her. Like,
not on my watch. We're friends.
I'm the only one who gets to hate her in this situation.
Right. That's very much what it felt like.
Never lower myself to slap her.
Faye Tommy pretty much asked for it. Like, it was a very interesting exchange. It's not as if it took her by surprise. I mean, she pretty much, in the end,
It was also, like, her, like, showing her again, because she had time and time and again, like, hey, you're doing a bad thing, and I'm going to tell you about it. So, like, her allowing her to slap her was just like, hey, do it.
And this is going to bug you more than it's going to bug me.
Yeah, it's not going to bug me.
Well, and it felt, too, like almost it was what she needed to put that whole thing to rest. Now it's done. You shredded that last thread of possibility that you and I were still friends, that there was still some good in you. Nope, you just, that slap, that decision you made, that it severed that relationship, and now we're done. And I feel like it was the closure she needed. Like, nope, you do what you got to do. That's what I need from you right now.
I was also strangely obsessed with the cigarette holder ring just because I've never seen anything like that before.
I've never seen them like short. I've seen the ones that are long, so like you can still like it's on like a stick and still smoke it without like it being right here, but
you don't get it on your
being
finger.
Short.
Yeah,
and then like you could like have it on and like people could not notice that it's a cigarette holder. Or put a little note in it.
Right. The first time I saw it, I took in episode 1, I took a screenshot and sent it to our group chat. I was like, dudes, like, this is a thing. And then later on, it like became a plot point. I'm like, oh, like an important folder
this is a thing.
It's not only a thing, it's an important thing that tells you a lot about the relationship.
Yeah.
And a ring is symbolic of a relationship coming together.
Ooh.
And it kind of subverts the gender roles thing, because the whole smoking thing too. Like, I mean, though I'm sure that's been kind of socially acceptable for quite a while, but you know.
But what I mean. Yeah, it wasn't. They didn't make up to do about it. It was just like what she does.
The show's so good, guys.
Yeah.
Like, okay, see, this is with all shows, especially for me, TVN shows. This is said with the caveat that they could, biff it in the second half, but so far, it's
These
real
first
good.
episodes really good.
They
On the
were
basis of 2,
delightful.
solid. One of the things that I really like too, and I noticed it, so obviously it's something that doesn't show up that often, was she has a really nice apartment.
Yeah.
Really nice apartment.
Mm-hmm.
She is clearly good at her job and gets paid very well for it.
It's pretty
Because
high up.
She has a nice apartment. Like, her apartment is the kind of apartment you usually only see the guys have. And the girl is usually in her, like, cute little rooftop apartment or whatever, right? And he has, like, the stellar, smoking, awesome, big, modern apartment. No, she has that apartment. Her apartment is gorgeous and huge. And, like, she has a grand piano in her apartment. Like, the girl makes money.
Yeah.
Well, she would have to be pretty high up in her company if she was the one that they sent to the hearings, right? Like, you don't send, like, the middle manager.
Yeah, even if they wanted to, like, ruin her, people on the outside or news sources wouldn't be like, that was weird, so we're gonna, like, look at you. It's got to be someone who's, like, very natural for that.
And also, like, if she's in a position that she can just walk into the boss's office and be like, nah, y'all shouldn't be doing this, obviously she's pretty high up at the time, which makes like the firing of her even more like,
because they're scared. They know.
Scared of her, that she knows things.
And we have to mention the suit game. The suits.
Our suits are good.
And even the character that I couldn't quite tell what her role was, because it wasn't because the chairwoman is the, the ex-friend boss person. But then it seemed like there was this other chick who was older with the slicked back hair, and she usually wore bigger suits
or something.
Yeah.
Like,
and so she'd just kind of pop in, and she always had like strong suit game too.
She was definitely part of the family or had ties to the family. So she was kind of that join.
So it was, the suit game, the hair, the makeup, the jewelry, like, everything is on point. It's all perfect. It's very good in that sense of, like Sky mentioned before, that the concept of, like, she put on her armor to go to war kind of thing, and, like, her lipstick was the armor of choice. The whole thing, like, visually, the outfits that they put on, the way they do their hair, that concept that for a woman in the workplace, this is your armor. It's part of your uniform. You have to make specific choices about what you do with your hair and your makeup and your jewelry and your clothes and your shoes. It's all part of what you have to do to be taken seriously and to project your image, and they're covering that, but without making it like a
obvious.
Oh, my poor feet because of my heels, or like, the jewelry is something that the boy gave you, or it's just part of the story. Like, it's not, they're not focusing on it, but they're using it as part of the story.
I loved the jewelry product placement of after her one night stand when she was going to work, and she looked really polished already, honestly. But she went and she's like, I'm gonna get myself some earrings. Like,
she's like, I had a pretty great night. I'm feeling pretty good this
morning. My box of donuts.
For a little gift for me.
Just banged a 25-year-old, so hey.
I got some. Now time to get some for me. Hey, yo. Like, good on you. Good on you.
It's an example of a show that once you get into it, other shows do pale in comparison, kind of.
Yeah.
And even if you were enjoying a show before, character-wise, you're like, oh, that's not as good of a character study as this one is. Like, you're not even trying to be judgy about it, but it's like, oh, but it's not as good as that other one.
It was, you know, not to harp back on it, but it was like after I started watching Because This Is My First Life, and I was just like, this is the best marriage contract drama of all time. I love a good marriage contract drama, as you know. Oh, damn, like, this is so good.
I could sit here and start something new, or I could just watch Switch again, because why not? And it is funny when you hit those ones that are that good. You're like, oh yeah, this is what a good drama can feel like. This is what
some dramas, it's more a character can really. So for me, for her private life, the Ryan Gold character, as far as the way he was mature in his relationship stuff, like, it was similar when you look back at other male romantic characters. It's like, oh, but you're not Ryan Gold level good. Like, you're, you know, you're kind of misogynistic a little bit like that. You know, Ryan Gold wouldn't do that, dude. Like, it's not good.
That's the new gold standard.
WWRG. D.
So sometimes if you connect with a character or something, it kind of does that too. But when it's an entire drama with, you know, every last character being that impressed with stuff, like, ooh.
Because like we were saying before about even like the villain character being enjoyable in her villainry. Like, she's good at being bad. She's good at it. And it's like, like sometimes everything else could be good, but the villain's so over the top, or the villain is so bad, but like they annoy you, or you know, it's too much and you don't like it, or it takes you out of it, and she's just part of it, and it all like works together. Everything is working.
Yeah, they're not betraying her as a villain, and I think a lot of people betray villains in their characters to make them over the top. When you're like, no, that's not what you've established this villain to do. Yeah. And just because you want it to be over the top, it's still, and like, even if the character is crappy, like, it's still worthy of you not betraying what you set up to do.
Right.
And also just like cheapens everything if the show is not at that like heightened level anyway. So then you're like, oh, well, are you taking this show seriously? Is everything like you said before being serious because you've now brought it into a comedic level? That if you're trying to be realistic about the show, then you have to be realistic. Like, it can be heightened and not be campy.
Right. Yeah. And I think also, as somebody who watches lots of different types of dramas, sometimes just for the actors or actresses that are in them, I'm often focused on just a handful of characters more, and I kind of, if I am annoyed with the other half of the cast, I kind of have to give them a pass. Like, if I want to keep watching it, I have to try to overlook it. And so, if that's often kind of how I feel about things, or if I'm generally happy with stuff, but I still have a couple characters I'm like, or maybe the plot's bugging me. But then when you do run across a drama that, like, it's checking off all the boxes, like, wow, okay, noted. That's a really good one pretty much for everybody. Like, I also like, for Search WW, the tone of the office workplace.
Yeah.
So if you compare it to Miss Sang, so Miss Sang, I think, is a tough watch. I will ultimately finish it, but it's emotionally draining to watch for some reason because it's so suffocatingly realistic feeling. And though Search WW is still realistic feeling, it's tonally very different to me in a way that's more enjoyable to watch.
What I liked too was the contrast, like when she and her crew that she took with her from the old company to the new company go into the new company, and they're like, oh, like people are skateboarding in the foyer, like
everybody has an English name,
and, you know, and it's very internet company startup. It's got that whole vibe, right? But what I liked was that it wasn't saying this was better than the other either. Like, you didn't have a portrayal of the other office as being super stuffy or super, they were too, don't ever talk, and don't, like, they were having a good time in the old office and chatting with each other and watching but also getting their work done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the new office, completely different atmosphere, also getting their work done.
Yeah.
So, like, it was kind of nice to not have it be an either or kind of thing that they were trying to visually show you, that, like, this was the jail and now she's been set free. No, it's just like, hey, sometimes things are different, and different.
They're fine.
Not necessarily bad.
Yeah.
Like,
And they're across the street from each other. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that so much. Like,
so
they'd be
good.
looking out a window and seeing the, like, sign of the internet company across the street.
You can almost picture, like, a scene where the old boss is going to be, like, watching her with a telescope or something. She's going to flip her the bird from her office,
Now, one thing I was confused about, so Lee Da-hee's character, Cha Hyun, Scarlett, whatever, versus Bae-ta-mi, Scarlett kept saying, like, that Bae-ta-mi was more competitive and about winning and stuff. But the thing is, I kind of got that vibe from Scarlett, too.
Oh, yeah.
So I was that was really the only thing I understand those characters' personalities are very different. But at the same time, to me, I thought Scarlett was also competitive. So I was kind of...
She did. She had that whole, like, talk when she was doing the, whatever that
debate
exercise is.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's talking to the guy, her trainer, and was like, I want this and this and this. So I wonder if it's, like, more of, like, she perceives it as these are just end games, and it's not really me being competitive. It's just me accomplishing my goals. They're, like, the same, but also a little bit different, especially, like, with who, like, where she works. And then also she's not, like, the top person. Like, it's that guy. But he still, like, respects her and respects her as, like, a great businesswoman. So I wonder if it's just, like, her perceived thing is that it's not really competition. It's just, like, I'm going to accomplish these goals, and I'm just going to do them. That's, like, my path in life.
It's about it, almost like maybe the difference that she perceives anyway is that she wants their company to be number one, whereas the other company wanted their company to beat that company. It wasn't so much about being number one. It was about making sure that the other company was number two.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what she's thinking the perspective is.
To me, it all feels in the same ballpark. Like, I understand the difference,
Oh, yeah,
but I'm
totally.
like, it's very similar. So that's why I was kind of confused. Because we saw Scarlett fighting and smashing things. To me, it's like, I would objectively say that she's a competitive person, too. Or she at least has a lot of anger.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where you're like, you're the person who's looking at this character. Like, so but, like, her as a character, she doesn't know that about herself. And it could be something that they touch on later on, too.
And she's a bit younger
bring that out.
than Bae-ta-mi, who's, probably found herself a lot more.
And they're, like, how they got through their companies are different, and their experiences are different,
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that could be one of the aspects of, like, with showing her as being a competitive athlete and stuff, too. I know that, like, different athletes train differently. So, like, some athletes have to have somebody else who is of a similar caliber to train with, because they need that gauge to, like, always have that milestone to pass. Other athletes are very, like, set on, like, I need to beat my last best time. I need to beat myself. I need to become the better me, kind of thing. So she may have grown up, or worked around both kinds of athletes, and she sees that, Tammy is, like, the one kind of athlete, and she perceives herself to be the other kind of athlete. Maybe.
That's a good way to put it. But I think it's a very nice, complex difference between the two. It's not as if they made them polar opposites, just like, and in a more simplistic drama, it would be, oh, this is the business-looking woman, and then this is the one that dresses up more. They would have really made some really strange differences between the two, but it's not like that. It's actually...
Not at all.
Especially from an outside of business perspective, it's like, oh, that's actually really similar. But it's still a difference. So it's interesting.
So good.
It's just good. Just good.
Even for people that are maybe not used to office dramas and stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of why I wanted to bring up Misang. Misang is a different vibe. So, like, let's say if Misang was too hardcore work for you, like if it was maybe too suffocating or difficult, this already has a different vibe to it.
Yeah.
And I would say, give it a chance.
Yeah, if Misang wasn't enough of a escape from your regular drudgery at work, this one might be.
And yay for women.
Yes.
Yeah.
We stand women here. We're women.
Yay for seeing a show with well thought out, well developed female characters.
Rounded, like
even the side characters, like the pianist, like she seems like a whole character.
Yeah. The acting is great, the filming is beautiful, like everything about it is working for us.
Yeah.
That is to say, if it ends up screwing up at the end, we're all going to be devastated.
We'll just be like, you done did it again, Korea. You done teased in the trap us again. Aish.
But don't speak things into being.
No, I didn't.
Right?
I didn't say anything specific.
Knock on wood. I knock on a terrible wood paneling wall that's behind me. Yeah.
No, we hope good things. I'm just saying, we all are invested enough already after the first 2 episodes.
Well, this has been another episode of the Certified Newness Podcast. We're glad that you tuned in to listen. Please send it along to any other K-drama loving friends or friends that you might want to convert to the K-Crew life. You can find us on Twitter. We love chatting dramas and K-pop and all sorts of stuff in a nice, respectful, fun manner. So hit us up and we might hit you back, but not like bosses in Korea. Just,